Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate. Science fiction on a screen so bright. Old classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the same. Gig along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
Hello and welcome to Tug Chat and happy Easter.
Happy Easter. And NHL playoffs.
Yeah, NHL playoff season as me and Danny were representing.
WrestleMania.
Go Toronto Maple Leafs.
Passover still, I think.
Well, today we're going to continue our discussion of remakes. TV, movies, again, good, bad, otherwise. And again, my definition of remake is extremely loose. I don't want to fight about semantics. We can even do what was it we got stuck doing last week was a bunch of TV to movie adaptations. If you want to do that, we can do that too.
There's literally a limitless supply of topics on
this is one of those topics that could go on for like 8 weeks.
Then you've got reboots in there too.
Exactly,
you know?
reboots.
Yeah.
Reboots, remakes, whatever. It's all something or other.
Yeah, redone.
Mm-hmm.
It's been done once before. It was good enough.
So let's see. Greetings to Danny Staten.
Hey, Danny.
Vim Vander Straten is here.
Boom.
Vimmy.
Just Carowin. Awesome. Always good to see you.
Hey, Kerwin.
Mike Silva.
Mike.
Mikey.
Oh, Indy Spoats is here.
Indy.
Hey, yeah, how you doing, my
plan?
brother? My future overlord, how you doing?
Yeah, I saw a meme of somebody like, I'm teaching my kids to go Easter egg hunting by breaking into our neighbors' houses and stealing all their eggs.
Like in the Three Stooges.
Yeah, like in the Three
There's an episode of the
Stooges.
Three Stooges. They're in a safe, too.
I mean, a dozen eggs cost more than a bag of chocolate eggs now, so.
Sure, yeah.
I know, right? It's cheaper to buy
Eggs.
chocolate eggs.
Exactly, yeah.
Only the rich kids in my neighborhood have eggs.
Extravaganza.
So as we're here, I think it's silly of me to ask, but are you guys doing anything for Easter?
I was going to take Mrs. Thrash out for a late supper, but she's feeling really, really poorly. So we're probably going to have to do a what would you call it? A rain check, even though it's the first sunny day we've had on Cape Cod in 4 months.
I'll send her my love.
I will.
Hope she feels better.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We get our antibiotics and orange juice. So if one doesn't work, hopefully the
Hey.
other one does.
Get your chicken soup in there, too.
I recently, like last week, pretty much every day of the week, because it was sunny last week, I was taking nature walks. We have a nature preserve right behind our house. And
nice.
on Friday, the last day I took a walk, I came in and I had like 3 or 4 ticks on me. So I'm good. I'm like trying not to think about it, but I know I'm psyching myself out. I'm gonna feel sick in a couple days, and it's gonna be 100% placebo. I'm gonna be convincing myself I have Lyme disease again, because once you have it once, you know.
Oh,
But-
Jesus.
But I'll probably be fine. I caught them like right away.
Yeah. Ticks suck, though. I hate ticks.
They
Ugh.
do
me
suck.
too, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
They do
I hate
suck.
getting
Yeah,
them
they-
on my dog. Just sit there and pluck them.
Last time this happened, I made the mistake of like looking at what a tick looks like up close, like what its head and mouth looks like. It's got those big spikes that dig into your skin. I wish I hadn't seen that.
The worst thing I ever saw with a tick was years ago when I lived in Winnipeg. Had a friend whose parents had a cottage on Lake of the Woods, and there was this dog that was basically like a stray. You know, it was a very shaggy dog, big dog. And it was real friendly though, but it came in the cottage and these things fell off of it, the size of grapes. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I looked at it and it's this, not quite the size of grape, very big blueberry. And this thing that's like this almost like purplish, it's hard to tell, purplish green kind of almost color with these little tiny sticks sticking out of the side. I was like, what the heck is that? He's like, oh, those are fully engorged ticks. And I was like,
that's body horror, man.
And if you step on them, they pop. And yeah.
Oh.
Talk about horror. Oh, reminded me of that scene from Slither. Yeah, Slither.
Yeah, pick one. Yeah. Any number of body odor.
I was thinking Alien myself.
When I was a kid, they were like, stay out of the tall grass. Yeah. That doesn't matter. They actually hang out in trees and will drop down onto you.
Yep.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be what happened when I was doing my nature walks, because our paths are very wide and like I wasn't touching a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how the ticks got on me.
Yeah. Yeah, we made the mistake that summer of building ourselves a tree house in a big pine tree right by the cottage there. Yeah, I got covered in them. I had them all over me. Yeah. Imagine having to stand there naked in front of his mom, I was like
in there
11, but still I didn't get picked off yet. It's like, oh my God.
Anyway. It's like those things in the Star Trek that brain bats or whatever you want to call them.
Like a Stephen King virus.
Yeah. No, it was nasty. But
hey, Cursed.
Hi, Cursed.
Nice to see you again.
Kirsto.
Hanging out with him last night.
I don't want coconut crabs dropping out of the trees.
Oh my God.
Oh, those freak me out too. Like there's nothing in this world to worry about.
Do they latch on and bite and suck your blood too?
Oh.
That reminds me
now
of
they have zombie deer.
Talk about crabs. Jeez.
Yeah, zombie deer.
Mercy.
I wonder if the zombies, the deer get the zombie virus from ticks.
Oh, maybe.
I have to go lock my door. I'll be right back.
There's a movie. It's a zombie movie, and it starts with a zombie deer. And I'm trying to remember which movie that is. There's so many zombie movies, I can't remember.
I saw a really terrible one called Zombie Night or something with Anthony Michael Hall.
Okay. Yeah, there's more bad zombie movies than good zombie movies.
Well, they're just uninspired. It's like been there and done that. The only thing this one had that was even slightly innovative was, and it actually makes sense if you think about it, the zombie being bitten by a zombie doesn't turn you into a zombie because everyone's already infected. So how would you get more infected? When you die, you come back as a zombie. But a zombie bites you and you can survive the bite. You just kind of go on with your life.
Right.
Which I thought is, it's going against the stream, but I thought it was a nice innovation. If you go by the premise that we're already infected.
Walking Dead rules, yeah.
Bingo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think in The Walking Dead, the whole don't get bit by them thing was because they were like, their mouths are full of nasty flesh-eating bacteria that will then, infect you and kill you quicker and turn you into a zombie. But,
it's also a plot hole because they came up with that. They came up with that idea around season 3. They hadn't decided that we were already infected, so they had to kind of backtrack. They backdated the observation.
Yep.
They did that a lot. If you watch really closely the first couple of seasons, they're always changing the rules. Some of the zombies even run.
I suspected that, Cursed. I thought maybe you were talking about the same movie, but I wasn't entirely sure. We're talking about, I told him to watch Primer. Apparently he's already seen it. So
cool.
Anyway, remakes. I'm not going to go first this time. I'm going to give it to somebody else. Tracy, you go first.
All right. The one I have in mind is of course the legendary Hitchcock movie, Psycho. I
Mm.
prefer the
Oh.
original Psycho to the Brody version of it. Any day, give me black and white. It was meant to be in black and white. I mean, because that's the way Hitchcock saw it. It just seemed like to translate so good in black and white. I mean, you used your imagination a little bit more, as a lot more eerie. Wasn't so staid, and it's like, see, when they do those remakes like that, I think it's just. I don't think it's right. I mean, aesthetically, I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I like have artistic thoughts. I'm sort of a Hitchcock purist, so it's like I like his stuff just the way it was seen, even if it was crappy. I prefer to see that in its original state than to have somebody just do it just because they need to throw something against the wall to see if it sticks.
Mhm.
Yeah, that remake is a really interesting case because Brian De Palma made it as like kind of an experiment. He essentially made it shot for shot the same, except in color, and he added like one or two minor things that I don't want to talk about.
Mm, yeah.
And it's just why it's so utterly pointless. And
Hmm.
Vince Vaughn is not Anthony
Vince
Perkins.
Vaughn, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I meant to say him. I thought it was Adrian Brody. Where am I coming from?
Adrian Brody, Vince Vaughn, they're
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah,
I can see how you
similar.
get them mixed up.
Yeah.
I've never seen the remake, and I'm probably
Please
glad I
don't.
haven't.
I mean, you're right, Vin. Gus Van Sant, not Brian De Palma.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Those three names. Get them mixed up.
I mean, the original was such a perfect work of art that it's just like, why would you
Yeah.
need?
Why would
to...
you bother doing that?
Yeah, why?
Like, even if it was
Yeah.
just as good as the original, it still came after the original. So
Yeah,
what?
yeah. What's the
Anthony
point?
Perkins was great. I mean, he had that air of like being scary, but yet funny and dark humor all at the same time.
With
Mhm.
also
Yeah.
like still seeming like he's got a touch of innocence in there. It's wild.
Yeah, definitely. That's my pick. One of them.
No, that's a really good pick because it's such an interesting case, and pretty much everybody agrees it's just pointless. It serves no purpose. Okay, so Damien, I guess that means it's your
Okay,
turn.
I'm gonna go with Ocean's 11.
Nice, that's a good one. That's
Yeah.
one of the ones that I think the remake is better than the original.
I agree. So I hadn't actually seen the original until last night, and so I watched it, and I was like, this is a good one for this because it's like the original's got like the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
It's the classic. Yeah,
It's classic. It's good. It's a good movie, but they spend the whole first half of the movie, or more than it, just setting up almost nothing.
yeah.
we're just gonna talk about stuff, and we're gonna go get this guy and get this guy, but it's like they spend way too much time doing that, and it's like the real movie doesn't start until halfway through, and then it gets interesting, But I just thought it was interesting that movie ends with them not getting the money,
Yeah.
At least as far as we know, it gets burnt up in the coffin or whatever. Spoiler alert to everybody that hasn't seen it.
For a very old movie.
Yeah, and the newer version from what was that 2001? I mean, it's
Somewhere
got
in there.
yeah, all-star cast. Got George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, Andy Garcia, Bernie Mac. Elliot Gould. Carl Reiner, it's even got Angie Dickinson and Henry Silva from the original as basically extras or, whatever. They're
beautiful.
in the, yeah.
I love her.
So, but I just liked the newer version better because it seems they do a better job setting it up and like the whole beginning
The
of it.
execution of the heist and everything is a lot more,
and then then they go through the whole planning stage, and yet at the same time, that what's going on, you don't know what's actually going on because it's got that surprise ending to it, as far as how they actually went about it and how they tricked. It's like they keep you informed but in the dark at the same time. And so it's just like, that hooks you at the end and you're like, man, that was an awesome, that was awesome what they did. They pulled it off, So, but yeah, I just, far, I like the remake far more than the original, just, because, but anyway.
Yeah, and one thing I really like about the remake is, even though it's not the Rat Pack, because you can't replicate the Rat Pack, this crew of actors all still feel like they're all chummy and just having a good time. They kind of feel like they're trying to. They kind of feel like they have that same camaraderie as the Rat Pack, which I thought was really well done. Because that's hard to
they had
replicate.
chemistry.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
had good chemistry with each other.
Yeah, they all acted very well together in that whole movie. So, yeah.
And Tracy Lance wants to know how your ankle is doing.
Oh, thank you, Lance. I'm fine. It just doing what I have to do.
Just takes
Nothing
time.
major. Yep, that's it.
You still in a boot, or are you?
Yeah, I'm in the boot.
Yeah.
I'm in the black boot, hobbling. I've even got a walker here and a wheelchair. Ooh.
Wow, you're spoiled.
Wait till you get
fancy.
Wait till you get to the
But I
cane
walk.
stage, and then you can walk around and you can beat people with your cane.
Out there raising
I'm
a
starting
cane.
to feel. I'm starting to feel all my age. All my age, man. I'm starting to feel it. Next month and a half will be my birthday time.
Yeah, we're all getting older.
Yep.
So.
And hi, Sarah. Good to see you.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Sister Sarah.
Woohoo. Good to see you, girl.
But yeah, Ocean's 11. It's a great choice. Yeah, that's all. That's all I got. So, Thrash, your turn.
Hi. Okay,
Hello.
we froze up
16 minutes.
again for a second, and we're back. Hey,
he moved.
Yeah.
No, you're
I've
not.
never
I'm
seen you
actually gonna
unfreeze
go with
before.
one-
Oh, now
Uh-oh.
he's gone. We lost him completely.
Looks like it's a full freeze. Yeah,
Even
Mr.
his voice
Freeze.
froze.
yeah. Video, audio, it's all gone.
Oh, am I back?
Oh, there you
Hi,
are.
Rack.
There
Hey.
you go. Yeah, just it blinked out a second ago. I got my laptop up here too, but I don't
Just
think
in case.
I think it's everyone's system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with an old one. I don't know how many of you folks out there remember the TV show Born Free.
Yeah. Yeah.
vaguely
My
know
dad
it,
did
yes.
the titles for that movie while I lived in London. Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. He did the titles. I could show you my dad's CV. He did a lot of movies.
Wow, that is like
Day.
awesome
He also
stuff.
did he also did James Bond, the early James Bond titles with Sean Connery.
Those are impressive. Yeah.
Mhm.
My dad was an
that is like-
illustrator, designer.
I knew that. I just didn't know this current factoid. Every time you mention your father, I
Yeah.
find something cooler about him. Your dad was a very cool person.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll have to share
all.
myself on my channel with him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I was something of a mega naturalist when I was a kid, by the way. I'm not a non-naturalist now, but I mean anything that had anything to do with you know, cool animals, endangered animals, just animals as a whole. Ironically, I think it'll start with Planet of the Apes. But anyway, you know, Flipper the seal and Salty the sea lion,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
but for some reason I loved lions. I loved big cats, probably because we were a cat household. My mother loved cats. We always had cats around. But I loved the TV show Born Free, and
Aw.
I didn't really understand the concept that there was actually a movie that the show was based on. And I was so happy as a kid because what they were actually showing it was like this big, you know, it was being shown by a local station. Oh, this is a Channel 56 movie event. I go, wow, it's a movie event. Mom, can I stand for this movie event? It's a movie event. Can I? Yes, okay, you watch the movie event because you know I love the show. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Born Free, but it's not nearly as light and fun and whimsical. It's actually really harsh, and it shows
Mhm.
how nature works. And nature is really, really scary to a 9-year-old. And I remember going
Mhm.
basket case while I'm watching this movie, and my mother
Yeah.
literally talking me off. Robbie, it'll be okay. It'll be the lion lives. Remember the show? I know, but it's suffering. Oh my God, stop it, Mom, stop! I go, you want me to stop something that happened in a movie 10 years ago? But I remember being like horribly distressed.
Yeah, it's more
by-
realistic in the movie.
Exactly, by the very realistic movie that's actually how I think I learned that TV shows oftentimes sand down the harsher edges to what is an inspiring but not always lovable story. And so I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they were both very important works, and of course, being a naturalist, anything that shows the importance of like protecting our ecosystem is great. But I learned firsthand warn kids before they watch the movie Born Free.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's that Hobbes quote? Nasty, brutish, and short. That's what natural
Sweet.
life is.
Sweet, nasty, brutish, and short. It's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty, brutish, and short.
Oh man, Vim, Roar. I could do an entire thing on Roar. This behind the scenes stuff on Roar is insane.
Oh yeah. Did you do something on Roar? Did someone else do? I saw something
I haven't
on Roar.
yet. No.
Dark Corners. Dark Corners did something on Roar.
Oh yeah, you know what? I probably saw that. Yep.
Not to plug another channel, but they are.
No, Dark Corners is cool. He subscribes to me, so I'm good.
Robin does.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the other? It's Robin and the other guy. I can never remember the other guy's name. It's so embarrassing.
I don't remember.
I feel
It's
better.
been a while.
Indy. What's Robin's partner's name? There you go.
It'll come to me in like an hour. I'll shout it out.
Indy will get like in 3 seconds. Name that movie.
But while he's grokking, I will bring up.
We're
There's actually a whole plague of these. It's the Platinum Dunes horror remakes of the 2000s. They took a bunch of classic like 80s slasher movies and remade them. Most of them are pretty terrible. There's like Friday the 13th, which isn't bad, but it isn't good either. And then there's the Nightmare on Elm Street, which is mostly terrible. It has like one or two really good ideas, but otherwise is just unwatchably bad. But the one I actually like is I think the first one, and that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that's actually a really good remake because it doesn't try to replicate the original. It tries to do its own thing. It doesn't even try to do the dinner sequence, which the first movie is so famous for. Instead, it actually sets the climax in the actual meat processing plant. I don't know. I dig the remake because I feel like it was made with love and with a lot of like intent. There's weird subtext about pregnancy that's not in the original, and I really like it. It doesn't have the guy in the wheelchair whose name I can't remember, the really annoying kid. Doesn't have him, which is a bonus for me. I can't stand that guy. But yeah, I think it's actually a really good, and it has Arlie Ermy. Arlie Ermy steals the entire movie. He's so good in that movie as the dad character, who's also the sheriff in town. So cool. Unfortunately, they made a prequel and kind of ruined it. But that's what happens. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that up as a whole. Like, it was kind of a whole subgenre that happened in the late 2000s. It was just a bunch of horror classics being remade for no readily apparent reason.
It was a cash grab. They did a lot of that with some of the old Roger Corman movies. They were making a Teenage Caveman and
right.
Yeah.
It was just a way of actually getting some name value on some horrible product.
But meanwhile, making money hand over fist.
Hand over fist.
Hand over fist.
Calling hand over fist.
Hand over fist.
That's right.
I got
no cheese.
Angle.
That's such an old expression. I shouldn't be
Don't worry, Charlie. I've got an angle.
And John, I've brought up that story about when we went to go see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in the theater. I brought it up on this channel multiple times. I'm not going to tell that story again. But yeah, The Hitcher, they remade that with what's his name? Sean Bean. Trevelyan. Yeah, that guy. But come on, he's not Rutger Hauer. How could you do that?
That film's gone now.
Yes.
Like tears in the rain.
Right.
I'm surprised I didn't start crying when every time I hear that line, I'm like, nope, Bob, you're an adult. Yeah. And then when he died, they played it like nonstop. I'm like, I can't. My mind is giving out.
My mind is leaving, Dave.
My mind is going. Dave. I can feel it.
What is it like to go insane? Surely you remember.
Anyway, that was my choice.
So I think Tracy's back up by my calculations.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm having an attack of the sillies today, so I'll try to stay on topic.
No, it's fine.
That's okay. You
Attack
be
of the
yourself. That's the way we love you, Thrash. You know that. Like the remakes too, like you were talking about, like like the TV show. They didn't have to make the TV show Animal House. The movie did enough.
Yeah,
I mean, and then the thing is when they brought that to TV, it was completely washed clean and censored up the wing, and it was just not the same feeling. Even if you had some of the same stars, why did you even bother doing that? It's like it's a waste of money.
I have never seen the TV show for that
It's
one.
not good.
No, it's not
It was
good.
horrible.
It's good I missed it, huh?
The house was more. It was almost like something out of the Addams Family. When the house was sentient and
It was weird.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like weird things started happening. Of course, they brought in Michelle Pfeiffer, who went around on these very, very, very short shorts, which was a plus for
Yeah.
11
You
years.
wear shorts.
It was part of that whole late 70s nostalgia renaissance. People were absolutely fascinated with that time frame, thanks to Happy Days and the combined works of
Lords of Flatbush and all those movies.
and that and
American
Never You in
Graffiti.
62, American Graffiti. Thank you. So it was just a way of latching on to that. But again, unfortunately, it wasn't particularly good. And that's the old it's the trap so many of these creators fall into. They're like, oh, this will run itself. No, it won't. I don't care how good a concept you have. You got to put in some effort. And, you think the Beatles would have taught us that with Magical Mystery Tour. We'll just know whatever happens. Nothing is happening, boys. Nothing is happening.
Oh my
Was
god!
it-
That's so
Something,
funny.
anything.
Was the TV show called Delta House?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they didn't bring back John Belushi, which was possibly the last nail in
No.
the coffin.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No pun intended.
yeah, no, they really did try. They really did try. But again, that just wasn't. There wasn't anything really insightful. You know what I'm saying? And they kept the whole essence of class structure in it, but it was a very, very tired and not particularly. Again, the movie was kind of cutting edge. The show was sanded down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say it was very, very washed down, very clean. And
Animal House and John Belushi will come up in my video that drops in about an hour and a half. So stay tuned for
cool!
No kidding.
All right, rock and roll.
No kidding. The combined works of John Landis.
that. No, I'm covering a movie you've never heard of.
Oh wow!
You'd be surprised, but I'll take your word for it.
What was I going to say? There was a bunch of those in the 80s where they would take a really popular movie, a really popular R-rated movie usually, and turn it into a sanitized TV show that was usually terrible. I remember
That was-
Weird Science
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
was turned into a TV show that lasted like 3 or 4 seasons or something, and it wasn't good like at all. I don't know why it lasted so long.
Because the girl was hot. That was it. That
That's
was
basically
literally
it.
all they had.
That's
The
all
girl
in
was
there.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why Star Trek Voyager lasted for 7 seasons too. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all the girls
I
wanna
mean,
be
7
her
of
and all the
9.
guys wanna be with her.
hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we done talking about Delta House.
Yeah.
Okay, Damien, go for
Oh,
it.
okay. Some all of mine are movies remakes.
That's
'cause-
fine. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with True Grit. I know I've brought it up before.
Hey,
Yeah.
no, always worth
In
talking about.
when we were talking about westerns and whatnot, but yeah, the original versus the new. I know there's a lot of people like the original better. I prefer the remake myself, though I do love both movies. I'm not gonna lie, I love them both. They're both great in their own way. And just I don't know, Jeff Bridges doing Rooster in the remake is to me, I think he made a better Rooster, but that's just me.
I think he was more of a like a human character.
Yeah,
than-
yeah.
I mean, John Wayne was just John Wayne.
Yeah,
I mean,
John Wayne is
I
always
love
just
John
John
Wayne.
Wayne.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, John Wayne is always John Wayne playing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, himself.
He did not have a lot of range. I
No,
know
no,
loved
he
him, and he did not have great range.
No. He's a good actor, but it's always John Wayne playing this character.
Marine.
instead
Terrible
of-
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
He gets like about
Oh my
15
God.
Japanese on a steak.
Sorry.
In every movie.
Mhm.
Every war movies in. He gets him on his bayonet. It's ridiculous.
It's like the top 10 list of John Wayne movies that aren't a Western or a war film. Watch The Quiet Man and go on with your life.
Yeah, really.
Honorable mention Hatari, but really, if it was on a war film or a Western, no thank you. You know? But also, and I only say this from what I was informed. I never actually read the book, but someone informed me that the remake is far more faithful to the source material than the original. And if you watch it, it feels more authentic. I mean, not that I don't love old Hollywood westerns, but that they have that very pantomime feel to them. This felt gritty, and when you're making a movie called True Grit, it has to be gritty. And Kim Darby was competent, but I can't remember the actress's name. But the actress they got to play the girl in the remake of True Grit could act circles around Kim Darby.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
I'm actually not familiar. But she was a far, far better actress, you know.
Didn't Kim Darby pass?
Yes, she did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Sad.
Something tragic.
I think Matt Damon. Yeah, they could have picked a better. How do you pronounce LaBeouf? Whatever.
Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf. Yeah.
Whatever.
But I don't think he did a bad job. I just think they could have picked a better person to play that.
Probably,
But,
yeah. It's just a weird casting.
Yeah. I use a name to put on the cover, on the listing. So, but yeah.
That's one of my pet peeves with some movies is that, sorry to interrupt you, I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
But I'm just saying that's what drives me crazy about movies is they get the wrong actor for the right character or the right, you know what I'm saying? It's like a missing piece of a puzzle, and it's like the actor has no chemistry with the character he's playing or she's playing. It's like empty. Doesn't match.
I think Barry Pepper did a much better Ned in the remake than just the way he plays that character and how they definitely made the remake of True Grit much grittier and more realistic for what you would expect. And the horse trader, what's his actor, Dakin Matthews, that was an interesting scene. I thought he did. When they're arguing over how much for the horses, I thought he did a great job in that whole scene. That whole scene was just like perfect. It was like, that's
it's a tough one for me because I really do like the remake a lot. I think it arguably is a better made movie, and it definitely feels more modern, more grittier, like you said, more real. But I have so much nostalgia for the original. I mean, I grew up watching that movie. And it's kind of like with John Wayne. Like, I love John Wayne. John Wayne is John Wayne. But yet, sure, Jeff Bridges is doing a better job as an actor with the character. But I still like John Wayne a lot. So it's hard for me to gauge, like, which one is better. I can't tell you.
Like I said,
objective.
I like them both. I really do like the original a lot. But I do prefer the remake, but anyway,
and it's Coen Brothers. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, Thrash.
Oh, me up. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna pick one here that isn't one of the ones people are expecting me to do. So actually, I'm gonna do one that we've actually talked about, just because there was actually, I don't know if people are actually watching our podcasts and not commenting, but using it as concepts for other shows. But someone actually did a whole thing on the Logan Run TV series. And funny, because we were just talking about reboots, and we've talked about Logan's Run on several occasions.
Yes,
so we use this as an excuse to bring it up. And I'm sure some of you, unless you blink, some of you remember the very short-lived Logan's Run TV series. I think it only ran 14 episodes.
It was really short.
That might be a gift.
I watched it on YouTube, just to say I've watched it.
Yeah,
I remember when it was on first run because I keep forgetting. I'm what 11 years older than you, 12 years older than you.
Something like that. I'm
so
46, so yeah.
I'm 57. Yeah. So, your mother would have been giving you your bottle while I was watching Logan's Run.
I would have been babysitting your happy butt.
And I remember as a kid, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but that had a lot to do with the fact that I was 11 years old, and if it was science fiction, I enjoyed it. So, right. I mean, I was not quite the connoisseur I am today. But again, it's effectively The Fugitive with a sci-fi backdrop, as I've talked about ad nauseum. So I'm not going to refer that template. Watch my old stuff, people, then you'll figure it out. There was even an addition. He had a cyborg friend, which was not in the original movie. He had a cyborg friend who I think his name was not Pax. That's the Dylan Hunt saga. It's some weird name, but he's the guy who plays the twitchy commander in John Carpenter's The Thing, the one who screams like, "I don't want to spend the entire winter tied to this blanking couch."
Oh,
he
that
played
guy.
The cyborg, yeah. But of course, they're being chased by the Sandman, so they're running from something. They're running to something. He's trying to find the sanctuary. And all in all, it was a pretty good show, if not incredibly formula. It was actually sometime later I finally got a chance to watch the inspirational movie, and it too is not bad. Now, Tug, you actually brought up some great points about the movie, about how the book was considerably better, and they had to alter a few things here and there. Of course, we all know that the best scene is the scene with Box. That's like the best, in my opinion, the best in the whole movie. So I think it's going to be one of those cases where the TV show is mediocre, but then while on the subject, the source material itself was mediocre. It's my understanding that they probably wanted to do a Star Wars TV show, but couldn't get the rights to it. Probably, so they were like, "We got Logan's Run. Go with it. The kids will watch it," and we did. So, I'm going to tip my hat to the Logan's Run, both TV show and series. And
like 5 episodes. No, I'm just kidding.
however many there were.
Average them together, Cursed.
That's funny.
Yeah, the actor is Donald Moffat.
Yes.
He was also the president in Clear and Present Danger and a couple other things like that.
He's been in a lot.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I could talk about Logan's Run all day. I have a personal connection to Logan's Run, but I shouldn't talk too much about that.
I kind of wish they had gone to, because you told me that in the book, Box is this sort of creepy, almost Lovecraftian.
Box is like, it's like body horror freak. He's like a freak show, yeah.
And I kind of wish they went with that. I'm guessing it would have been too much in the budget.
Yeah, probably.
Than a nice pristine plastic robot with.
I mean, in the movie, he does actually look like a box. So.
And it's Roscoe Lee Brown. The
Roscoe. Yeah, he's great.
Oh, he's amazing. He could read a phone book, and I would be.
Yeah, it makes everything sound kind of romantic in a way.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, BK.
Happy Easter.
Hey, Adam.
BK.
Oh, BK, what's going on, my brother?
Okay, so I guess that means it's my turn again.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought of one, and now I've lost it in my brain. Give me a second. Let me think.
I found the cure for the plague of the 21st century, and now I've lost it. Anyone? I'll give you a hint. It's Sean Connery.
Yes.
Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. It's been a while since I've brought him up. I'm going to talk about Godzilla. Because he's had many remakes.
What's this Godzilla you speak of?
He's a what is it? He's a whale gorilla. That's what the name means. So the Godzilla remakes. Okay, like the original Godzilla is its own thing. You know, it is what it is. I feel like of the many remakes that have tried to recapture that classic original Godzilla. They've all been good in different ways. You've got the 1984 version or the 85 version with Perry Mason, Raymond Burr, which I don't like Raymond Burr in the 85 version as much as I liked him in the original version that was for America. I feel like that one gets a little weird. There's all this Dr. Pepper for some reason. I don't know.
Product placement. Finance the movie.
It's so much product placement. It's crazy. But I do like the Japanese version of that. It's like the original. It tries to be dark and actually a little scary, and it's trying to be like psychological. It's not just goofy Godzilla, which I also love. All Godzillas are beautiful to me.
All Godzilla's beautiful. It is all
Joining it together, hand in hand. Reach out and grab the hand next to you. Right.
And then you had the legendary remake in 2007, I want to say, something like that, which I also really like. I like that it's an Americanized version, but it's still trying to honor the ideas of the original. It's not the 98 version, which is not a Godzilla movie. That's just Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Big iguana.
Yeah. I really like that one. I know a lot of people have a problem with it because there's not a lot of Godzilla screen time, but I don't think that's a problem, honestly, because if you watch a lot of Godzilla movies, you know that there are a lot of Godzilla movies where you don't see a lot of Godzilla. It's just the nature of the beast. And there's also the Godzilla 2000, which I think is goofy but fun. And yet, like I said, there's just been so many remakes of Godzilla. And then just a couple of years ago, we got Godzilla -1, which is the only movie I think that might actually rival the original for how good it is. Godzilla -1 is absolutely incredible. And if you love Godzilla movies and you like serious Godzilla movies, you have to see this. You just have to. If you haven't seen it,
that one
see
was
it
pretty
immediately.
good.
Yeah. So
wasn't Godzilla almost a remake of the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms?
Originally, yes,
Yeah.
it was inspired by the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Yeah.
And then you also have the 20 million miles from Earth, but that's different. But
that's
still,
different. Yeah.
That's
But
more of
it's
a
another
Quatermass
40,000.
inspired.
Yeah, I like Godzilla versus Mothra. That was my favorite of all of them.
Mothra. Do you know that I could
got a
never
little
figure out
Mothra
why.
right there. Woo.
Oh yeah,
you love
he's
Mothra,
cool.
don't you?
I've got Jet Jaguar right there too. So.
I could never figure out why I
No.
couldn't get like some kind of Japanese translation of that song.
There.
It's because they're not singing in Japanese; they're singing in Indonesian.
Yes.
And I only found that out like a couple of years ago. Because I'm like, what are they saying? What are they saying? It's not Japanese, you moron. That's why you can't figure it out. And I'm going with the fine tune. What is it? There's even one you left out, Tug. There was an animated series in the late 70s.
I remember that series.
Which is very, very pantomime-ish. And of course, Godzilla's more like a friend of this family of scientists. And he has this like wacky, Scrappy-Doo like nephew called Godzuki, and it's crazy. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And again, there's no such thing as bad Godzilla. Some is better than others. But any true Godzilla, if it's not, unless it's like a big iguana trying to eat New York.
Yeah, but that's not Godzilla, I'm telling you.
The best criticism I ever heard of the Columbia TriStar was this gentleman who had actually he was a producer in Toho and had been a child watching Godzilla. And he goes, when I was a kid, my Godzilla knocked down buildings and blew up tanks. The American Godzilla just runs away from everything. And I'm like, that says it all. That says it all.
Pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then lays eggs in Madison Square Garden. But,
and then
it becomes Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Ooh, jinx. We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
I'm pretty sure we have. Yeah, I think we talked about this.
I'm getting deja vu all over again.
See, I like talking about Godzilla because you have the bad remake. You've got the 98 version, and then you've got all the other good remakes.
Hey, the one thing the 98 version had was a really good soundtrack, but
it did have a decent soundtrack, yes. And it has Jean Reno, which
Yeah.
Everything could use more genre Reno.
Yeah.
I love that scene where he's in the HQ and he pulls out the bagel and no croissant, and the guy's like, and then he takes one sip of the coffee and he spits it across the room and goes, "What the hell was that?" They called it French roast, and I'm like,
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I feel like when they cast Jean Reno in that movie, they told him, "Okay, I want you to be French, but I want you to be really French, and I want you to be like the American stereotype of French. Can you do that?" Okay.
So you want me to make fun of Americans? Can do. What's with the gum?
Easy.
What's with the chewing gum? It makes us look more American.
Mhm.
My God, it does.
I love that scene where the guards got the flashlight and he looks into the Humvee and they're all just sitting there with their baseball caps and
Danny, the Kennys were Gamera, not Godzilla.
You killed Kenny. Yeah.
You bastard.
I mean,
Before
there have been a couple of Godzilla movies with annoying kid characters, but every single Gamera movie has one.
As a Kenny.
It's like part of the formula.
Before I die, I want to see Gamera and Godzilla fight.
Yeah, me too, man.
That's my
That'd be
bucket
nice,
list. And a couple years ago, it looked promising because Daiei looked like it was going to be bought out by Toho, and I was like, yeah, there'll be no what's the word I'm looking for? Disputes between the studios, but it fell through, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, kind of like how when Disney bought Fox, they could bring in all the Marvel characters. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all for naught.
Yeah, yeah. I saw how well that's turned out.
Oh well, I'm still young.
Yeah, me too. Both of us are about the same age. We're like twins born 2 months apart.
The only official time
family's
Godzilla and Gamera have ever fought was it was like a New Year's celebration in Japan, and they had like a guy in a Gamera suit and a guy in a Godzilla suit. And that was actually sanctioned by Toho, and
oh wow.
So they say that is the only official time they've ever fought. And nobody will tell me who won, even though I know who should have won, but
Godzilla,
Of course.
Of course.
Hey, BBB, how's it going? Happy birthday!
Hey, Chrissy.
What's going on, Chrissy? Good to see
Hey.
you. Good to see you.
I haven't mentioned it yet, and in case I forget to mention it later, after this stream, BBB is having her own birthday stream with Shane, Sick2210, whatever. And yeah, because today is both of their birthdays. They have their 420.
Happy birthday.
Girl.
Yeah.
Thank you for last night. I had a good time.
Yeah, last night was a lot of fun.
I like the ducks.
Whack, whack,
Whack.
whack.
I like the one that looked like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Gary Carpenter. I did not know this. Apparently, John Wayne turned down a role for Blazing Saddles.
Oh, wow.
That's a neat
Little bit
factoid. I
different.
got to write that down and look it up.
That'd be different.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Hello, self.
Hi.
I'm just writing it down to check later.
Myself and I and you. And you.
Talking to yourself isn't a problem. It's when you get into his back. That's when you got to worry.
Yeah, it's when you're arguing with yourself. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which I've done. And the sad thing is I've lost.
Yeah.
Hey, when you start seeing people that others do not, there's
That's
a
when you got a
line
real
there.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
When
a
the
little
voice
in-joke
in-
on them.
When the voice in your head starts coming from the other room, that's that's a problem.
The Waco Kid. The John Wayne is the Waco Kid. That would have been weird. Such a different movie. It's hard
I
to
don't
picture.
know. John Wayne, I don't think ever did comedy. Even when
Not
he was in a
intentionally.
comedy.
Yeah.
Well, like, he did an episode of Maude
I don't
once,
think he
but
did
he
on
was
purpose either, but-
demonstratively unfunny. It was like, it's like some straight actors can actually be very funny. See under Leslie Nielsen,
Well,
but John Wayne could not. He was just that deadpan. But
some of his movies were comedies. I mean, like Chisholm is basically a comedy, but he's playing it straight. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't recall. I'd have to see it again. I'm sure you're right. The one Silverado with
Yeah.
a very 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 young James Caan.
Yeah.
That's kind of a comedy, but again, he's not funny in it. Everyone else is funny in it. He's not funny in it. Of course, you know what Ed Wynn said? Death is easy. Comedy is what's hard.
Oh, God.
Of course, it was a win-win situation.
Mhm.
No one's gonna
Yeah,
laugh at win-win situation.
I thought it was funny.
Laugh harder. Thank you. Laugh. I know football coaches. Laugh at my joke.
Oh, God.
Please clap.
Oh, my.
I told Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson that the Big Dipper was the best consolation in the universe, and he said, "Bitch, Pleiades."
Oh. Oh.
According to Danny, North to Alaska was a comedy with John Wayne.
Mm.
I don't
But
think
was
I've
it
even
funny?
heard of it.
Isn't that with Abbott and Costello?
Epic.
I don't remember it. I have no idea. I'd have to look it up.
That sounds familiar, but I can't place it to save my life. I'll take your word.
And yes, Vim, I didn't call him on it. He meant El Dorado, not Silver. Yes. But I did not.
Yes,
call
I
him.
did. I'm so sorry. Silverado is
That's a young Kevin
Atlantis one,
Costner.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, and everyone else. Glover
Kevin
is
Kline.
in it, and it has like an all-star cast.
Yeah. Good movie.
Rosanna Arquette.
One
Yeah,
of the few 80s westerns. Yeah.
Lawrence Kasdan was trying to redo How the West Was Won.
Right.
Mm.
Jeff Goldblum is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Rare. Although he is in the Fly remake, which we talked about last week. And he kind of turns into a villain.
He does turn, but it's because of his situation. It's like a werewolf.
The Fly is
turn.
the real villain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But can you really call him the villain? It's more like he's succumbing to this
Insect
horrible.
politics.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's in the same way you could try to make a Lawrence Talbot the villain in a werewolf movie, but he's more of a tragic villain.
He's a tragic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In Silverado, he's just the bad guy.
Yeah, a lot of people read the Fly remake as a AIDS metaphor. It's really just any kind of terminal illness metaphor, is what Cronenberg said.
Yeah,
And let's
could
face
be
it,
cancer.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, Cronenberg, he was obsessed with body horror.
Oh yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I saw Rabbit as a teenager because I heard it was kind of raunchy, and of course it had. Well, we all know who it had in it, and it was like that movie like disturbed me. I mean, like I was like traumatized after I watched it. The
That's
bloody
what you
bassinet scene. I'm like, I can't. My mind, I can't.
I can't remember my first Cronenberg movie. Well, it was probably The Fly, honestly.
Mm. I
Rabbit was
remember
mine.
the original Fly.
I love the original Fly. It's great.
Yeah, that is a
Vincent
cool
Price.
movie.
Are we actually
Anyway.
talking about The Fly as a reboot series, by the way, now, or did we just happen to stumble into this?
We just stumbled
it.
into it. Yeah.
Because it's applicable. In fact,
Did you say you talked about it last week?
We did talk
We
about
did.
it last
Okay.
But we can talk
Yeah.
about it more.
but it doesn't matter. It's a great movie. Both of
We've
them.
talked about Logan's Run about 8 times. We've talked about Invasion of the Body Snatchers 30 times. This is the way we beat the horse. You know, I've been called a sadistic bestial necrophiliac before, but that's beating a dead horse.
Oh my gosh.
Beating a dead
Indy,
horse.
you're right. It probably was Scanners. I probably saw Scanners before I saw the thing, or not the thing, The Fly. Yeah. Or maybe Videodrome. I might have seen that first.
Yeah, I was gonna say either Videodrome
Videodrome was good.
or Scanners would have been the first one that I saw. So
I was so young, I
Yeah.
don't remember which one was
Yeah.
first. That's the
Yeah.
kind of
I
upbringing I
probably
had.
saw Videodrome first, but
Back then, I wasn't always on top of who the director was. So now that looking back, I may have actually seen Scanners before I saw Rabbit.
Yeah, I think I saw Scanners first, but I didn't know it was a Cronenberg movie until years and years later. Yeah, it's one of those things.
I mean, Videodrome, there's no mistaking.
Yeah, it's definitely a Cronenberg movie. Yeah. It's like Naked Lunch level of
Yeah,
Cronenberg.
it's got some crazy hallucinations going on there. So
I've got
Anyway,
one for you.
go for it, Tracy.
Okay. I prefer much prefer the original series of The Outer Limits than the remakes.
Yes.
The originals were just great. I mean, the writing was superb. I mean, the
Mhm.
coloring with the black and whites, again, haunting as ever. It made you think, it's like, oh man, can't they write like that now?
Yeah, it kind of like watching the remakes. It feels like they weren't trying very hard. Like they were just kind of coasting on the
Yeah,
whole. Everybody knows what the Outer Limits is, so we'll just put this out and people will love it, kind of thing.
yeah,
Not that
yeah.
there wasn't some good episodes.
There were good episodes. Don't get me wrong.
Like
Yeah.
the Dead Man Switch, I thought was phenomenal. And there's what was it? I can't think of the title. But there were some that were good. But the original Outer Limits, that's how it looks. The original Outer Limits, it wasn't just anthology TV. They were making mini movies. Martin Landau mentioned that. He goes, when we said to an episode of Outer Limits, we were doing a short film. And I'm like, yes, exactly. This wasn't just television. This was a made-for-TV film. I mean, like Soldier. I mean, Soldiers to this day stands up. I mean, and even your dad's friend, Harlan Ellison, who wrote it, even he liked it. He couldn't stand when people adapted his works. I can count on one hand the number of times he said, "Oh yeah, they adapted my work here," and I loved it.
On one hand, is it a glass hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I saw Soldiers. That was good. Just
Michael
recently I saw that.
Nzera was amazing in that. Who was, of course, as you know, was married to Barbara Eden.
Oh yeah. He played the evil Jin in Dream of Genie.
Yes.
I like that it's one of the rare sci-fis from that era that actually like deals with like the language barrier. And it's not even like an alien language barrier. It's a language barrier between like time periods. I really, really like that. And it really goes in depth into it, which I think is really cool and really unexpected from, like I said, something from like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I remember I had a friend who mentioned that he said it always bothered him whenever they do like time travel or even just a case where they end up in a future of some kind through whatever means. They always talk colloquial English, and it's like they wouldn't. There'd be a deviation. What is it? 10% every 100 years, or 20% every 100 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
Like they say, we if you go back beyond like 1400, we wouldn't be able to understand them at all. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're speaking English, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a good point, and they never address it. So I concur, Tug.
Yeah,
that
Shakespeare was
actually,
only 400 years ago.
That was actually a point I wanted to make about the Ocean's 11. Was watching the beginning of Ocean's 11 was like, it's like people complain about kids slang today, but it's like listening to the slang from the late 50s, early 60s amongst the the Rat Pack types. It was what did he just say? What the... Are they speaking English?
23
anyway, that's only like 60 some odd years ago. So I mean, anyway.
Yeah, my wife and I have been making our way through Star Trek Discovery, which is not that great. I mean, there's things I like about it, but one of the things that is annoying the crap out of me is everybody talks with like millennial slang, and it's obnoxious, and I can't stand it. It really bothers me.
It's very sus.
Yeah, exactly. Very sus. It's giving me brain rot.
Apple sauce.
Although it's funny when you watch an old Hughes movies, they use all this like slang that I'd totally forgotten. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to say that, or a girl I did used to call me that, or it's like because
John Hughes films.
Exactly, because there was a lot of slang in the 80s which didn't stand the test of time. But there was a lot of there was like a local. Someone said something, and I go, oh my god, I haven't heard that in 40 years. It was around here, and it was like a local term, dreaded. Someone said dreaded, and I go, oh my god, everything when I was a kid, everything was dreaded, which was like saying intense, dreaded.
I remember brutal used to be a really big word back then too. That was brutal. Brutal. Anyway,
it is too left.
One thing that I mean, I'm glad most of we've lost most of it, and that's Valley Girl.
Like most of it.
Like for sure.
Okay.
I never even spoke like that even back then.
Fun fact: Valley Girl language you can blame mostly on Frank Zappa.
Oh, of course.
His daughter knew.
California.
His
What
daughter
can I say?
specifically.
Not me.
Yeah.
It was funny too because awesome. I used to say awesome because there was some. I can't remember, but there was like some guy who used to do a local show, and he'd say it's awesome, and he would say it like something like out of like Omni magazine or something. It is awesome. But then
Totally.
Valley Girl became. So I'd say, "Oh man, that's awesome." They go, "What are you, a Valley Girl?" I go, "I was saying awesome before the vowels." You know.
Wrong coast, baby.
Praise unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You know.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh.
who's up now?
I don't even know what that means.
Neither do I.
Damien.
I make far more sense when I don't pay attention to what I'm saying.
Yes.
Damien's up? Okay.
Oh, is it my turn? Okay. All right.
Let's go with that. And then I'll go after you.
I'm gonna go. I don't know if this was brought up last week or not, but I'm gonna go with the Time Machine.
Ooh, we did not
1960
talk about that.
versus 2002. And I'm not gonna say that I like one version better than another. They have a lot of differences, but a same overall plot. You know, I will say that I prefer the Morlocks from the original. Because they're kind of funnier looking.
They're iconic.
The ones in the remake are just, you know, very CG, you know, just kind of, yeah. I mean, that's probably more what they would actually look like than the ones.
But they still kind of like tried to make them resemble the original a little bit.
Yeah, a little
And
bit.
I really
yeah.
wish they hadn't done that at all.
Yeah.
They should have just done their own thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go different, go different. Don't go.
Yeah. In other words, don't go half butted, go full butted.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So I do like
Morlock.
the inclusion of the Uber Morlock and you know, the brain guy. You know, and
it's a gestalt.
yeah.
They're like there is the workers, which are the muscle.
Mhm.
There are the scouts, which are the eyes and ears.
Mhm.
You know, it if you watch closely, it's really slick. It's sort of like a hive mentality.
Yeah, it's like an ant
the brain bug.
and yeah, it's like an ant hive or a beehive or an ant colony or something, or even a colony of termites. You have, you know, different castes for different things, and then of course the regular humans are the cattle, which doesn't make that never made any sense to me, because it's like, no, you can raise cattle a lot easier than, you know, and they're bigger and have more meat on them than just raising humans to eat. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but because, you know, we don't have a whole lot of, I mean, well, some of us don't. I do. A whole lot of mats compared to, like, you know, cows or even large pigs and what. But anyway, that's just a plot hole. But you know, I did like in the remake how you know, the motivation for him to go to the future was to save his wife, her life, and when he or not really to go to the future, but make the time machine, and he tries to go back in time, save her, and then she just dies again. And then he goes to the future, you know, through all the different, you know, stages there, and finds out that, no, you can't change the past because, you know, there'd be a paradox. You know, you created the time machine to save your wife's life, and therefore you wouldn't have created the time machine if you saved her life. So if you go back and save her life, she's just going to die again. That's just the way that works, you know.
Continuum.
So, yeah. So that's, you know, it's a loop. You can't change it. So this is interesting concepts explored there. And what I really do like in the remake is the computer thing.
Orlando Jones.
Yeah, Orlando Jones. Yeah. The way,
awesome.
like, at one point he's just like, you know, a computer in a library trying to, you know, tell people about things, and at the end he's like, oh, you want knowledge? You want books? I got books. Come look what I got right here. You want to read about this? You know, it's like,
I did think that was a neat way to
Yeah.
update the whole
Yeah.
library scene from the original.
yeah. It's 800,000 years later and he's still functioning. What kind of batteries is he running on?
The only thing I think he mentioned that there was a solar cell that was still working somehow.
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mentioned.
There is a reference. To
I
it.
haven't seen the remake in so many years I can't remember. So
I saw it in the theaters and haven't seen it since.
Oh really? You remember all this?
Oh yeah. Well, I saw it. It's funny because I saw it. and I didn't particularly care for it. And then a friend of mine who loved it said, "You have to give it another shot." So I went back, and when I watched it with less harsh eyes, I was able to enjoy it better for what it was. And also, Wells's granddaughter liked it, so if that's good enough for me. But
well, that's because it was made by Wells's grandson. Simon Wells was the director.
That explains a lot, actually. There were, like, for example, I did love the Orlando Jones shtick, with one exception. It undermined its own premise. There's a point where he references the movie by George Powell. And I'm like, if this
that doesn't make any sense.
How exactly? Unless George Powell was himself a time traveler and made a movie based on his experience.
I thought he referenced the book. Did he reference the movie?
By George
He
Powell.
mentions the movie, yeah.
Oh, I thought he was only I thought he only referenced the original book by.
And
H.G.
I don't know
Wells.
why he did that.
Yeah.
Other than he thought maybe George Powell deserved a pat on the back, but because it
They were
doesn't.
trying to do
Probably
a
just an
nod,
Easter
but it
egg kind of thing.
It breaks continuity so bad.
And of course, how did the Eli learn to speak English from the characters of the buildings? There's no pronunciation value there. Someone said, and it just wasn't mentioned, they learned English from Orlando Jones.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But then why didn't they say that?
Yeah, it's
Well,
not. It's
you know,
not
he mentions that he found one that had escaped from the Morlocks, but he doesn't say, "Oh yeah, they come here all the time, and I teach them how to speak English."
Yeah.
Which would have covered the whole nut. So I don't know why they didn't do it, unless we're supposed to piece that together. As far as the Morlocks go, I did like Jeremy Irons.
because he's Jeremy.
Yes, I
Irons.
was going to get to that. Jeremy Irons did
yeah.
a great job.
Very Jeremy Irons in that movie.
He was
Yeah,
amazing.
Irons quality.
I love the fact that you could accomplish two things. There was a certain amount of exposition because the time traveler could actually speak to the Morlock and get his input. On the other hand, the Morlock, oftentimes when they do like time travel, they always find somebody with tremendous insight and historical understanding who fills in all the gaps, and it's just like expositional.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons had a very limited understanding. It was mostly based on his values. So while he was able to fill us in, it was a very linear. It felt very organic. It's like this is the way a Morlock actually would fill us in. It wouldn't sound like a speech by, a historian.
Right.
It wouldn't sound like Churchill.
Yeah.
Say.
It's just this is how it is. This is how we kind of we're the predators and the thinkers, and those are just the cattle. And anyway,
Eloy will also be brought up in my video that drops in an hour.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Do I have time to do one more? Or are we
Yeah,
still
but
talking about
I just
time
I want to say a little bit about the Time Machine first. There are things I really like about the remake. It has some really neat ideas. There's a scene right at the end where you kind of see him basically walking in the same space in two different time periods, and I thought that was really neat. And the movie needed a lot more fun experimentation with time travel like that, like just visually. It's something interesting. I love Guy Pearce. He's fantastic. I like pretty much everything he's ever done. But at this, and I love Orlando Jones, obviously, but it still doesn't feel like the original to me. The original I still think is better. And I don't think it's just nostalgia. I think
the original had a certain charm to it.
Yeah.
And just, in a feel and a look that, you only get from a movie from that era.
I also think it was paced better. The remake is too long.
Yeah, you're right. The remake is a little too long, and the original was paced. Yeah, it was paced better. You're right.
Yeah.
Even the build up to at the beginning to getting in the time machine and actually going, and then as he stops at the different time periods and what happens and so on and so forth. They
go through it really fast. Yeah. But don't get me wrong. I still love both of them. I own both of them. So it is what. But I like Thrash. The first time I saw the remake, I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand it. I was like telling everybody left and right, "This movie's terrible. Don't go see this movie."
I was not a big fan the first time I ever watched it too, because I had seen the original. But then I watched it again, and I was like, it's not bad. And then I've maybe seen it 3 times total. But again, it's been years since I've seen it the third time. But yeah, it kind of stuck with me as like there's some interesting concepts explored in there. and some interesting tying togethers of things and so on, and it's worth a watch. So
it also oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tracy.
Oh no, it's one of those movies that it gets you interested in it a little bit more and a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that just comes at you, but you have to see it a couple times in order to really.
And part of it's just because the actors did do a very good job. The ones that the most important ones, at least, Guy Pearce, Jeremy Irons, Orlando Jones.
Guy Pearce is really good.
Yeah.
I
can't help it.
A lot of movies at this time period suffered from, and I think you can blame The Matrix, among others, but this is science fiction has always had a certain amount of action in it, with the exception of Solaris and a few others. But,
Solaris was a fun one.
But around this time period, they were cramming more and more and more action into sci-fi, regardless of whether it needed it or not. And sometimes it was really obvious. That initial scene where he confronts the Morlocks and the hunting party comes out and starts marking the potential victims. That's a really cool scene, and it should have been this very quick sort of like blam, and him going, "What the hell was that?" It devolves into this chase scene, which goes on for about 15 minutes. I started to nod off the first time I saw it. I'm like, it's like the Brontosaurus scene in the Kong remake. It's like,
Kong remake, yeah.
Wake me when this chase scene is over, okay?
Drool coming down your mouth.
When you start falling asleep during a chase scene, it's gone on too long.
Oh, I just looking at the cast list. Doug Jones was one of the Morlocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know
Yeah, he was spy Morlock number 1.
It's amazing how many things he's in without me realizing he was in.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm drawing a blank. Who's Doug Jones? I'm drawing a blank.
He was the
Abe Sapien.
Abe Sapien, yeah. Or Abe, was it Abe Sapien or Abe?
Abe as in Abraham Lincoln.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's also in Star Trek Discovery. He's one of the best things about
Star Trek
Discovery.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So yes, Thrash, you do have time for one more. Go for it. You have time for one more, then I have time for one more, and I think then we'll call it.
Cool. I'm gonna actually. It's funny because again, this is one that just became topical because I saw somebody doing I hadn't thought about this in years, but I saw someone. They were talking about short-lived shows of 1990-91 season, and the show. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. Was Dark Shadows.
Wow.
Yes.
Which I must when I first as a kid. Now it came out before I was born, or it started before I was born. But when I was a kid, again around 8 or 9, they brought it back for late night TV, and it was funny because my mother thought it was too scary for me. But when I used to go visit my grandparents, my father's parents in Plymouth, my grandmother was upset, and she used to watch it. She used to let me watch it with her if I was still up. And I remember being enthralled by it, which is funny because it's a soap opera and there's shockingly little action in it. I mean, you really got to wait for the nuggets of action, but it's so well paced and so well put together. And Jonathan Frigg is a frigging genius. He is absolutely amazing. God rest, by the way.
I love Barnabas.
Third favorite vampire on the planet. We all know who the first two are. Bela Lugosi, Christopher Lee. Barnabas Collins is a very close third.
Barnabas is
absolutely
sweet.
Absolutely amazing. And so I really loved the show as a kid, even though I
you didn't say Tom Cruise.
Ugh.
I can't even say with a straight face. I prefer his von Stauffenberg. Oh,
ouch. Ooh.
Let's not say things we can't take back, huh, guys?
Have you seen the film, the 2012 film?
No, I haven't. But what I was going to reference though is there was a very short-lived TV series in the 1991 season, and it was so funny because it was right on the heels of Twin Peaks. And the person who was doing this retrospect on it says the Twin Peaks audiences were raring for it. And that is so true because all the girls I used to go over to their townhouse to watch Twin Peaks, and they literally switched gears. Boom. Okay, now we're watching Dark Shadows. That was boom. And I fell in love with the show myself, actually. Vampires and time travel. I mean, and not Aldous is who I absolutely
video
love.
games.
Yeah. I mean, Aldous did Vampires and Time Travel and Dracula Unbound, and it fell flat. I'm sorry, Brian. We've talked about this before. But Dark Shadows, Vampires and Time Travel, they did it to a T. And I actually found out years later, Mrs. Thrash, who I hadn't met at that time, she was in love with it too.
Wow.
She had a crush with the new Barnabas. Now, who was really, really slick, actually. Not quite as good as Jonathan Frakes.
I like the original Barnabas.
I have to go with that as well. But I thought the new one had a lot of merit, and I thought
it wasn't bad.
And I thought it could have really gotten its own legs. But of course, you know what killed it, right? First Gulf War. When people finally started watching, the first Gulf had started, and everyone had stopped watching network TV and was watching CNN. So when it finally had a chance to catch on, and they really should have given it another shot. They should have given it its second season, but it was a very expensive to make. Because it was a period piece, so it was very expensive to make. So they just cut their losses. But I thought both have merit. But of course, it's funny because Mrs. Thrash has been sick. We've been watching. I found on Peacock. I found the original Dark Shadows. We've been watching it.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
I loved Twin Peaks and all, but when I went to a girl's house in the 90s, those weren't the Twin Peaks I was interested in.
I love your honesty.
Every boy our age in the 90s was interested in some different.
I
shouldn't say every.
Most.
There were two shows you couldn't talk during: Twin Peaks and 21 Jump Street.
Oh God!
They'd throw you out. Bob, shut up or get out. We're watching Jump Street.
I was more into Northern Exposure.
Well, you could talk during that
show. But those guys on there were pretty good looking. The guy who ran the radio station, and of course Ed Chigliak.
Oh yeah,
the guy.
Yes, Alex, we've talked about The Fly.
The Fly.
On at least 3 occasions today, actually.
Yeah.
It was actually one of the ones that was on my list.
That's a good one. It's like a great example. But no, Dark Shadows. I remember when the 90s version came out because I was super stoked. Because I was a Twin Peaks fan. I'm not sure what the connection there is, but it's there.
It's just the flavor.
I didn't hate it. I liked it. I kind of wished it had gone on a little bit longer to get its like you said, it was just finding its stride, and then it just collapsed because
there's a lot of shows like that, like what was it, Firefly?
That's what I was thinking.
That's the classic example of a show
that should have gone longer.
It should have had its last episode too, because it left on a cliffhanger.
Summer Glau just can't catch a break. She went.
That Terminator TV show that she was in was also cut way too short.
You know what I just thought about is that Firefly and Serenity that's basically a remake of the show.
Well, it's kind of like finishing up.
Almost a reboot. Well, but they almost reboot it and redo it.
Because they rebuild all the sets and everything. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because the story kind of is the story's retold in a much shorter, version.
You're not wrong.
But yeah.
Don't fear the Reavers.
Yeah, don't fear the Reaver.
I had to. The devil made me say it. I had to fear the Reaver. No, go ahead. You can fear them.
Yes, To Be or Not to Be is a remake. It's also not a Mel Brooks movie. I mean, Mel Brooks is in it. Obviously, he's the lead character, but he didn't direct the movie. Everybody thinks he did, but he didn't. Great movie, though. I love it.
No.
That's one of the movies where it was literally a scene for scene remake, but still it missed something. No, I mean, and a lot of people do like it, but I mean, I prefer the original. Not to squeeze in another reboot here. I prefer the original. With
that's a case of I hadn't seen the original, and I grew up watching the Mel Brooks version. So yeah. Anyway,
your last.
Oh yeah, right. What was I going to talk about? Flash Gordon.
Flash Gardens, I love it.
Flash Gardens.
Maybe a good theme park, a sci-fi theme park. Call it Flash Gardens.
There have been lots and lots of different versions of Flash Gordon over the years. There's the original serials. There's Defenders of the Earth. There was a TV show, I think, in the 70s, and then there was another one in the 90s, and then there was another one in the 2000s, and almost all of them are terrible to one degree or another, except for the original serial. And then there's the 1980 movie Flash Gordon, which was like lightning in a bottle. So perfect. It is better than any other version of Flash Gordon, and I will die on this hill if anybody argues with me. It captures that spirit of a serial and mixes it with the spirit of the early 80s just perfectly. It's like heavy metal. It's very similar in feel to heavy metal in that it's taking these classic serial concepts and comic booky concepts and making them all bright and colorful, and slapping some awesome music on it, and have Timothy Dalton be Errol Flynn, and it's so, and Brian Blessed as Hawkman. I mean, that talk about perfect casting.
Hawkman.
I remember seing that.
That is such a good movie. I love the 1980 version of Flash Gordon, and I'm not interested in any other attempts to remake it because I feel like it's been done. You can't beat that. You just can't.
Just when you think they don't bring it back, they bring it back.
Yeah, they keep trying. I mean, because it's in public domain, so everybody's going to keep trying. I think Taika Waititi is working on a version right now, and I don't care. And I know Thrash likes it. I mean, look at his T-shirt.
Thrash. It's one of those movies that has just the right amount of camp to be perfect. Any more camp, it would have been silly. Not enough camp, it would have been silly.
Exactly.
you need to have some fun with it, or people think you're taking it too seriously. Max von Sydow was being the Merciless.
Another perfect casting choice.
Riveting. And for some reason, of course, now they're on the planet Mongo, which is a sort of Planet X wandering planet. They never explained how they could do that. That's okay. But important. on his super destroyer weapon screen, you could cause typhoons, you could cause tidal waves, you could cause earthquakes. Okay, why would Mongo have a button for earthquake? You haven't heard about the Earth until you got here today, did you? But they left it in, and it worked, and it was so much fun. And yeah, it is. I love that. And there was just enough love, and that's another thing. There was just enough love for the original series to really let it shine through. So often people, they've never even seen the original, let alone have love for it, and it shows. It's like you want to sit the person down and say, "You aren't familiar with this work at all, are you?" Let the guy make Highlander 2. You have no idea for Highlander 1.
Yeah.
That's a running joke. The same guy did Highlander 1 and Highlander 2, but for some reason he forgot everything. I think he had early onset dementia. But
I don't know if I included this in my video on Highlander, but the guy who wrote Highlander, after Highlander 2 came out, he had business cards printed that said his name. I wrote Highlander. I'm not responsible for Highlander 2.
I believe it.
Blame him.
I wrote Highlander. There can be only one.
Yeah, exactly. There should have been only one. Why were there so many?
That's awesome. Oh, but one thing though, the short-lived, actually, I think it ran for 2, maybe even 3 seasons, so it wasn't that short-lived. The animated 1970s series of Flash Gordon, I thought was a lot of fun with Robert Ridgely doing the voice of Flash.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I understand why they did it, because it was a Saturday morning cartoon show. If you do continuity, the kids aren't going to watch it because, well, what happened? Well, what happened? Well, what happened? Well, what happened? So there was no continuity. Each show was microcosmic, and that bothered me because Flash Gordon is a serial. One has to go into the other. So that was my only criticism. But I did love the Saturday morning cartoon. Visually, it was stunning. And Robert Ridgely, again, he could read a phone book. He was the voice of the 70s. He was Tarzan, he was Thundar, and he was Flash Gordon.
That's right. Yeah.
He
was awesome.
Well, just as good as Mel Blanc.
Wow. I don't think anybody can be as good as Mel Blanc.
Well, I'm just being funny. But I mean, like, guy of 100 voices.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to at least tip your hat to somebody like that.
But Robert Ridgely, always under the Robert Ridgely, he did that Robert Ridgely voice. Although he could do impressions. I saw him on one thing once where he was like it was the Phantom of the Drive-In or something like that. And anytime he called the cops, he would do another voice. And one time he was Boris Karloff, and one time he was something else. So he actually could do impressions, but his money voice for animation was always that Tarzan, King of the Jungle voice, Lord of the Jungle voice.
One of my favorite bits in Night Court was Harry met his dad, and his dad's played by John Astin, and he's like a super goofball.
Yeah.
I'm better now.
Yes, I'm feeling much better now. And they try to find a connection because they don't feel like they have enough in common. And so Harry starts talking about Mel Torme, because he, for whatever reason, is obsessed with Mel Torme. And then he and John Astin are like, yeah, Mel, I love that guy. He's great with his voice is so angelic and perfect. And after they go on and gush about Mel for 10 minutes, eventually Harry says he's talking about Mel Torme, and John Astin says, Mel Torme? I was talking about Mel Blanc.
Oh, that's a good one.
And what's also very funny is that John Astin also had that incredibly lilty voice. So
The only thing I didn't like him as the Riddler. I always thought Gorshin was a better Riddler.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Gorshin was the better Riddler.
That bit where if he's in one spot for too long, it's loitering. So every now and then he just violently jumps 3 feet.
Yeah.
But of course, Gorshin to me will always be from that. Let this be your last battlefield.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just for some reason every time I think him, that's all I can think about. You insane little plot reviewer, and you vicious subverter of every decent thought. It's like, whoa. Trying to upstage Shatner, huh?
Nobody upstage Shatner.
You need Ricardo Montalban for that.
Yeah, really.
Rich
Corinthian leather. Yeah.
Corinthian leather.
Yeah, of course.
I love the fact that he's always swaggering with his hand on his hip. And I found out years later he had a week before been in this horrible horse-riding wreck accident and had shattered vertebrae, so he's actually holding his spine in place.
Oh no!
he did that Khan episode, Space Seed, not Space Seed. Space Seed.
Yeah, Space Seed. That's the Khan episode.
I second guess myself sometimes. I'm sorry, but he was actually in unendurable agony when he did that episode, which shows how professional.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Can I throw an honorable mention in there? For something?
Sure, go for it, Damien.
In doing my little trying to figure out which movies I want to talk about, I came across The Invisible Man, which has 6 remakes. Yeah, it's got 1933, 1975, 1984, 1998, 2017, and 2020. And if you want to throw in there Memoirs of an Invisible Man with Chevy Chase, 1992. So, which is a different movie but the same concept.
It's based on a book that's kind of loosely based on The Invisible Man. Yeah.
I thought it was a cute movie though. So it's Chevy Chase.
That was John Carpenter actually. He directed that movie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Not to mention the short at the end of Amazon Woman on the Moon, which has Ed Billy Jr., who thinks he's invisible, and he takes off his clothes and runs around the town.
I forgot about that.
You can't see me.
He's moving the guy's chest piece, and the guy's like, "Oh wow, how is my chest piece moving on its own?"
Well, this has been fun, gentlemen.
But The Invisible Man, I have to talk about The Invisible Man just for a second, because Claude Rains' The Invisible Man, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my favorite Universal Classic monster, and you know how I feel about the Universal Classic monsters. And when the 2020 version was coming out, I was incredibly skeptical. I thought this would be garbage. You can't possibly beat Claude Rains as the Invisible Man. You just can't. But the 2020 Invisible Man doesn't really try. It's not trying to make the same movie. It's trying to do its own thing. And I think it actually succeeds really well. It's a very good movie. It was the last movie I saw in theaters before The Thing happened. So I just wanted to say I do love the 2020 Invisible Man. It is one of the best horror movies in the last 20 years.
I haven't seen it. So.
You should see it. It's really good.
I haven't really seen any of the Invisible Man movies other than maybe one of them, and I don't even remember which one it was. But I just had to
been so
bring it up
many.
because I came across that and I was like, wow, that one's been remade over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
You know? So,
And
He's also in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
oh, yeah.
yes,
Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah, you throw that one in there too.
Yeah, one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. I know it's terrible, but I love it anyway.
Hey, I'm the same
Hey.
way. It's a horrible movie, but it's also a lot of fun. So
It's you know,
yeah.
it would have been a great Netflix series if you could
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
makes you
Anyway.
happy. Hey,
Yes, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you.
Yes. Like,
Subscribe, and subscribe, all that stuff.
tell your
Please.
friends.
share out.
Scream it from the mountaintops.
And yeah, in half an hour, I've got a video dropping on a movie called Nothing Lasts Forever that you have probably never heard of, and you definitely haven't seen. It was never released, really. But you should definitely watch this video because I worked very hard on it, and I think is really, really interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that. And then after that, you can go check out BBB and Shane's stream. They're having their birthday stream. They're going to be streaming, I think, all night. So just catch them sometime in the next 5 or 6 hours. The later you get, the more drunk they'll be, probably. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sounds fun.
And Thrash, did you still cancel tonight's show, or are you going to have it anyway?
Yeah, Mrs. Thrash isn't feeling well.
No, take care of your wife, man. That's more important.
I'm gonna since I already bowed out, I'm gonna stay bowed out. I might stop by and see Chrissy. And what was the other person's name? The gentleman's name?
Shane or
Shane.
Buff.
I believe maybe I met. I'm drawing a blank here. If Shane, come back, Shane. I'm sorry. I'll probably be there in the comment section saying hi to people, but I'm not going to be doing it live tonight. But I will have new content this week and a Sunday next week.
And also, don't forget to check out his top 10 on Canadian dad jokes. It's really funny.
Okay.
Love you, Thrash. Be careful. Say, give your wife my best, please.
I will too, Bubba. Love you.
And Tracy, do you have anything to plug at all?
Yes, I actually do. I'm going to be doing a live, I think, sometime tomorrow, probably in the middle of the day before, because now that I'm in between this job thing again, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to be happy, ride it out.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we will return next week. I know Chance is dying to continue talking about this, so we'll probably have a part 3. We will never run out of remakes. Trust me.
You should live so long.
I still got a list twice as long as what I went over. So.
Chance has got everything. He pulls it out,
Yeah. So we will do this again next week. No problem. And until then, bye. I'm gonna hit the button.
Thank you and good night.
And we're done.